So I'd like to start by saying that Red Dead Redemption is a copyrighted work by Rockstar Games, and the footage used in this video is only for review and criticism under the Fair Use Law. Gamer on a Budget holds no claim to Red Dead Redemption, and all footage and properties of which are owned by Rockstar Games and its affiliates. Red Dead Redemption. This game drove every competitor out of the old West genre. This game is revered as a masterpiece. Made in 2010, Red Dead Redemption is an action-adventure open-world game set in the dying West. Although this game was made in 2010, it is still worth it to do a review 8 years later. Partly because it's always great to go back and replay this wonderful game, and because Red Dead Redemption 2 is set to be released October of this year, and almost every gamer is excited for it. However, this video won't be focusing on Red Dead Redemption 2. Instead, we'll be going back to see just how much the average gamer on a budget should be willing to pay to play this masterpiece. Now would be a good time to note that all game reviews I do account for the amount of time the game's been out when giving it the overall score at the end. And with that, this is Gamer on a Budget with your official review of Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption is an action-filled cowboy experience that puts you in the boots of John Marston, a former outlaw now working with the police to kill or capture the members of his old gang. If you've ever played Rockstar Games' Grand Theft Auto, you'll feel right at home in this style of gameplay and overall game design. Much like the beginning of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas 4, or many others, your character is dropped into the environment with little information given to the player, and a lot of neat concepts and features to play with. The first few missions are easy and serve as a tutorial for the player, set in real-life events like a fun competitive horse race to teach you the mechanics of riding a horse. The environment itself is a marvelous portrayal of the rugged frontier, complete with countless beautiful views, one of the most notable of which is simply the night sky. One of the few things that fundamentally separates Red Dead Redemption from Grand Theft Auto is the use of Deadeye that John Marston has. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but personally I think it's good. Cause if you're an educated gamer, then you'll remember that Rockstar soon adapted this feature into GTA 5, giving each playable character in the game their own, Deadeye type deal. It's a really smart move and a perfect example of a game developer taking something that works in one series and adapting it to another. And with that, let's get to what makes this game good. As far as good qualities and mechanics in this game, I have no idea where to begin. The overall atmosphere is amazing. The entire soundtrack, including story mode, is old western themed, and most of it is spot on to fit the mood. As you walk by NPCs, you hear little tidbits of conversation. Walking through the bar, you hear piano melodies and doors creaking. It looks like an old western saloon, and it feels like an old western saloon. Well, that's pretty common in all games, I hear you saying. But mind you, this is 2010, and these small details build up this world to the point where it's so immersive, you just want to go get lost in the hills looking for gold. It's these small details that keep it just as good as some AAA open world titles being released today. A couple of other small details that really tie this whole game world together are hitching your horse to a post when you ride into town, or shooting a man dead in the streets while he's falling down, his hat lies there next to him. I know it doesn't sound big, but the image of the man's hat just lying in the road is pretty gripping, and definitely a neat thing to experience. One last small detail is that when you skin an animal in this game next to your horse will actually react upset to this and run away about 20 feet. You can easily whistle to get them back, but just think about this for a second. Rockstar paid so much attention to detail that they bothered to think about how your horse feels when you skin an animal around it. One more thing I want to draw attention to is the realisticness of the cutscenes. I mean, the footage you're seeing was made in 2010, and these realistic facial graphics are good quality even for today. My last note on what makes this game good is a personal favorite of mine that I personally think puts Red Dead Redemption above most GTA releases, and that is the old Western wanted system. See, when you start blowing people's brains out or shooting law officers, the game puts an active bounty on you, as well as a couple cops to try to apprehend and kill you. Just like in GTA, you can outrun or outshoot the police. But unlike in GTA, after you deal with them, the bounty you've earned stays on your head until another posse of lawmen trying to hunt you down decides to come your way. This system is more intriguing, I feel, and gives the idea of being an Old West outlaw the element it needs to feel complete. Also, it's a lot of fun to see how high of a bounty you can rack up just by being bad. You know what else is fun? Seeing how low of a score this game could get after I go over what makes it bad. So, this is going to be a short chapter. Don't get me wrong, this game has mistakes, but I'm not going to nitpick at continuity or character personalities. I'm only going to talk about what affects the game's overall score. The first is my biggest complaint. So, in the story mode, there's only 57 missions, but when you're playing it, it feels like there's 80. The reason for this is parts in the story mode, especially towards the end, you find yourself literally riding back and forth across the entire map. The entire map. It's a Rockstar signature to have long intros to missions where your character travels to a destination while listening to an NPC provide dialogue about the mission or the world or even backstories.
Girls ain't even fit for a drinking man to hole up with.
I'm a married man, I'm afraid.
Ain't we all?
So you better listen up, because that's really the only substance this painstakingly long, dull, and repeated process has. Another dull and boring activity in this game is trying to solve the treasure maps. They're extremely difficult, borderline impossible, and the rewards don't make it worth it to even try. But luckily, there's countless other free roam activities to do, so don't even bother with them. Next, you may struggle with the controls a bit when riding your horse. They're not perfect, and it kind of feels like at times the horse itself is fighting against you, although this may just be Rockstar trying to create that realism we talked about earlier, but here it just kind of falls flat and comes across as sloppy controls. Finally is a complaint that I hope they fix in Red Dead Redemption 2, and with how GTA 5 turned out, I have no doubt they will. So the problem is that money in this game becomes extremely irrelevant fast. No, it's not easy to get, but once you do have it, there's nothing to spend it on, cause there's nothing to buy, really. Whereas in GTA 5, cars and boats and planes and other countless stuff to purchase and collect. In Red Dead Redemption, yeah, you can buy campsites and like a horse. In the end, Red Dead Redemption is, and probably always will be, an amazing game, well worth the play, and especially if you were too young to experience it back in its day. And even if you are accustomed to modern day AAA titles, you're still gonna love this experience. A big difference from Rockstar's titles is here, your character works with the police instead of working with criminals like in GTA. But I think what Rockstar is trying to say with this game is that back in the Old West, criminals and lawmen were one and the same. I'm thrilled for Red Dead Redemption 2, which I have no doubt will be priced at $60 per copy, as is the price of new games. But as far as Red Dead Redemption, coming out in 2010, its price was less as were the price of video games at the time. The reason I'm telling you this is here at Gamer on a Budget, we rate our games against a perfect score of $60 regardless of original price or release date. My final price for this game is $22.13, which a lot of you might consider a low score, but when you consider this game came out 8 years ago and has held up this good through time, it's a huge statement to the quality of the game. Amazon has several different prices for this game, but its range is about $12 to $13, so we're gonna say it's about $20 even. And if I were you, I'd rope that game in as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. If you agreed, saddle up with me on that like button. If you disagreed, quick draw on me with that dislike button. If you managed to kill me, you can keep my boots. Well, that's all from us here at Gamer on a Budget. Save some money, and keep gaming.